Good evening, everyone, and a warm welcome to one and all. On behalf of IPNet West Region, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you today to the webinar titled Valuation, Emerging Concepts of Enterprise Valuation and IBC, Important Techniques and Impacting Case Laws. We are truly honored to have with us our distinguished lead speaker, Dr. S.K. Gupta, sir, and our speaker, Mr. Ram Mohan Bhave, sir. Your presence today adds immense value to this session. A special mention of the moderator for today, Mr. Sumit Datta, who has been proactive to coordinate and get our lead speaker on board. As you are aware, IPNet is hosting its 45th webinar in a series of webinars organized periodically under the umbrella of IPNet, which was the National Network for Insolvency Professionals. Now, without much ado, it is my pleasure to invite Mr. Udaraj Patwardhan, sir, member of the National Executive Committee and Regional Head of IPNet West, to deliver the formal welcome address. Sir.
Thank you, Namrata. Good evening, everybody. I really am happy and glad to welcome you all to this 45th webinar. The topic is valuation, emerging concept of enterprise valuation in IBC, important techniques and impacting case laws. So as we see, we are moving towards the concept of enterprise valuation, and it's a concept which is holding good in most of the mergers and acquisitions. So why not in IBC as well? So we have with us two very eminent speakers, Dr. S.K. Gupta, and we also have Mr. Ram Mohan Bhave. Both are leaders in their own field, and they will be discussing with us and guiding us on this concept of enterprise valuation. I must thank Dr. Akshish Makhija, who initially started this concept of IPNet, and we have reached long way, and we have been a vibrant community of insolvency professionals across the country now. So for all the practical guidance, dedicated member portal and expert-led learning initiatives are the three pillars on which we are standing today. So if you are already part of IPNet, that is very nice. Thank you for your support. And others who are guests here today, I request them to join this network. And with this, I welcome you all. Thank you very much. And back to Namrata.
Yes, sir. I shall be playing the video of IPNet. It's for everybody.
In the fast-evolving world of insolvency and bankruptcy, professionals need more than just knowledge. They need a strong network, continuous support, and a unified voice. As the challenges of the insolvency profession grow, so does the need for a platform where professionals can come together, share their experiences, and find collective solutions. That's why IPNet was formed. Promoted by Transition, IPNet is more than just a network. It's a mission to unite insolvency professionals across India, empowering them with the tools, knowledge, strong leadership, and community support they need to excel. Our purpose is simple: to create a cohesive community of insolvency professionals that stands strong together, advocates for their interests, and drives excellence in every aspect of the profession. At IPNet, we believe in continuous learning and collaboration. Our activities are designed to ensure that every member stays ahead in their field, from specialized study groups that dive deep into critical topics like CIRP, compliances, and many more, to webinars and workshops that bring the latest insights right to your screen. IPNet is your gateway to professional growth. Backed by Transition, a leader in insolvency training and resources, IPNet is committed to promoting the interests of insolvency professionals. Our goal is to ensure that every IP, no matter where they are, has access to the best resources, strong leadership, and a network that truly understands their needs. Join us in this mission to build a stronger, smarter, and more connected community of insolvency professionals. Together, we can overcome challenges, shape the future of the profession, and make a lasting impact. IPNet, National Network for Insolvency Professionals in India.
This was the short video showcasing IPNet's purpose, initiatives, and contributions. With this, now I would like to request our moderator for the day, Mr. Sumit Dada, to kindly introduce the lead speaker, Dr. S.K. Gupta, sir, please.
Thank you, Namrata, and good afternoon, fellow IT professionals and guests. It's my privilege to introduce Dr. S.K. Gupta, a speaker of the day. Dr. S.K. Gupta is a postgraduate in commerce, gold medalist, FCS, FCMA, PhD did in corporate governance. He's having 45 years of corporate experience in leadership positions with various public and private sector organizations in the domains of finance, valuations, costing, internal audit, sustainability, integrated reporting, social audits, and company secretarial functions. Currently, Dr. Gupta is the managing director of ICMI Registered Value Organizations, CEO of ICMI Social Auditors Organizations, and he's wearing multi hats and CEO of ICMI International ADR Chamber. Dr. Gupta has chaired and addressed a large number of national and international seminars and conferences. He's a member of various industry associations and been regularly invited by regulators at various forums. He's a prolific writer and has written over 350 articles and research papers, which are regularly published in various professional national and international journals. I've been a fortune of knowing him from last 7 years, and he's known as a man of golden Midas touch. Wherever he touches, he gets energy in that organization. Now, we all know valuations in IBC is asset specific. The thought process started changing on enterprise valuation, which Dr. Gupta will put his views on. May I request now Dr. S.K. Gupta, sir, to please address all of us and enlighten us with your learned knowledge.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the gracious and profuse introduction. I thank IPNet and all the participating members here to have invited me to interact with you on this emerging discussion point or discussion topic of a case for enterprise valuation in IBC. In fact, this is the first open professional forum where I want to speak about this particular topic. IBBI did organize a workshop here in Delhi on 18th of July, where again I was one of the speakers over there. But in the open professional forum, this is my first discourse going forward, and I'm pretty happy that all of you would be able to add value to this emerging concept of enterprise valuation with a view to making it a concrete element of the whole IBC and the code that we all are aware about. Can I share my presentation, please? Kindly allow me to share. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yes, here we go. Sure. So IBC is one of the deepest economic reforms which have been undertaken in India for over last 10 years or so as of now. It's a law which seeks to redress the distress of the companies in a time-bound manner while balancing the interest of all the stakeholders. It's a rare law which has seen speedy rollout and implementation. To say that IBC has been a game changer would be an understatement. It is much more than that. We have all been part of this ecosystem for a few years in the past now, with over 1,200 resolved cases, with 2,700 number cases getting into liquidation, with about 4 lakh crore rupees getting getting back into the economy, and much more in terms of its impact and influence. Many people have decided to clear out their outstanding dues to the bankers, fearing that they may have to lose the management of their company if they persist with their NPA status. That's the beauty and the impact of this law, insolvency and bankruptcy law, which has been operating in India for the last about 10 years now. The key objectives of the code, as we all understand, are maximization of the value of corporate debtors, so that whatever value we are able to generate by way of restructuring, revival, rescue of the corporate debtor during the process of CIRP, and that should be done in a transparent and reliable manner, that ultimately goes to the kitty of the creditors, different categories of creditors as per the defined formula in case of liquidation and as per the resolution plan submitted by a resolution applicant in the normal case of CIRP for that matter. In this whole exercise of CIRP under the code, valuation is the quintessence of IBC. It is the very, very critical element in the whole process of CIRP, because value representation or checking out at least the estimate of the value of assets of the corporate debtor brings on table some kind of a number which the COC would then consider and look at while approving or not approving resolution plans submitted by the various resolution applicants. So it becomes very, very critical factor in the whole process of CIRP. Presently, the valuation architecture that we have under IBC is regulated by Regulation 27, Regulation 35 of CIRP, as well as by the valuation rules that we have in position. And the present architecture provides for appointment of two registered valuers for each of the three asset classes: securities of financial assets, land and building, plant and machinery. And they have to submit their reports within a given time frame, as again provided under the timeline guidelines provided by IBBI with regard to the CIR. What is happening is you have two valuers doing the valuation of each one of the asset class. The numbers are never really going to be same, because we understand that valuation is not only about numbers. Numbers are, yes, the starting point, but not the end point of valuation. It is just an estimate of the value of assets of a corporate debtor, which depends upon the kind of assumption that you may take, the kind of premise that you may choose, the kind of approaches that you may apply in determining the estimate of value, assumptions, regular assumptions, normal assumptions, special assumptions. I mean, a whole lot of factors which impact arriving at the estimate of value of any asset. So within a particular asset class, the two valuers submitting the valuation, the numbers rarely match. I mean, they are not expected to be same at all, actually. And then there has to be some kind of an averaging which has to be done with a view to finding out and identifying the value of assets of a particular asset class. And this happens in three cases: securities of financial assets, then again land and building, then again plant and machinery. And now you have three numbers, but the COC is looking at and interested in finding out one single estimate of value of the corporate debtor, and then again some kind of averaging or aggregation has to happen with a view to be able to arrive at and derive one single estimate of the value of the corporate debtor. This is the present current architecture of valuation under the code. Very clear. As of now, the approach being followed is that of sum of the parts approach. Land building, plant and machinery, securities of financial assets, you're only looking at some or part of the assets of the corporate debtor. You're doing the valuation separately for each asset class. Then by way of averaging or consolidation, aggregation, you're trying to arrive at the overall value. Just look at a simple crude example. If you got to value a vehicle or a car, if you look at the engine cost or the engine value separately, you look at the gear clutch box assembly separately, look at the body separately, put them all together, and then you say, this is the estimate of the value of car. I don't think this is giving you a fair idea of the true worth of that particular vehicle. Real value is reflected in terms of its utility to run as a vehicle. That's the crux. But that's not happening as of now, because of the usage of the sum of the parts approach being followed, because of the mandate given to RBs to carry out valuation of each asset class separately. What is also being left out, besides taking care of these three different asset classes, there are many other factors which are left out, which either would increase the value of the corporate debtor or also possibly decrease because of those particular factors, synergies, interlinkages between the different asset classes, the way the company operates, intangible assets, long-term supplier contracts, all these factors are ignored, being ignored currently, not being taken into consideration while calculating the estimate of value of the corporate debtor. So it becomes challenging, not only challenging, let me put it flat, it's not happening as of now. As per the present architecture and the kind of mandate which is given to each registered valuer, is only required to look at in a minuscule one particular asset class, give his estimate of value. Thereafter, he doesn't really care about the overall value of the corporate debtor as a complete entity, as a complete business. So the various factors or the assets which are presently being ignored in the valuation of corporate debtor, synergies, which are very, very critical. We are all aware about how we do valuation under mergers acquisitions. Look at synergistic value as well. How all the different assets of the corporate debtor interconnect with each other, create a web, create synergy, which ultimately generates and drives creation of value within the corporate debtor, preservation of that value over a period of time, and also enhancing the value of the corporate debtor going forward on a sustainable basis. Intangible assets currently being ignored. Long-term contracts with employees and suppliers do have a very, very favorable impact on the overall operations of the business and should therefore be captured while calculating the estimate of value of the corporate debtor. Software and proprietary technology are becoming very, very critical and important now in this IT-driven world. The knowledge, organizational knowledge, the intellectual capital that the organization would have augmented, collected over a period of time, which could be very potent, positive, favorable factor for the particular company is not being taken into account as of now. The market position of the company, strategic advantage that the company has, the distribution network that the company enjoys. Well, Hindustan Unilever is a leader in retail business as of now. One of the key reasons is their widespread distribution network. That's their USP. Otherwise, most of the other organizations also more or less sell the similar products, but their distribution network is so very strong that they are able to have an edge over their competitors in the marketplace. Strategic partnerships, not only joint ventures, foreign collaboration, but any kind of partnership that you may have with either downstream or upstream, either with the suppliers or with the providers of logistic supports or distribution channels is a very, very critical positive. Customer data, strong customer relationship, a corporate debtor being in loss, having accumulated losses, possible tax advantage going forward. How easy it is for a new entrant to be able to enter into the space of a particular business or a space, barriers to entry. If it is difficult for a new entrant to be able to enter into that particular business space, the existing businesses enjoy a lot of additional premium or favorable impact on the overall valuation and unique selling proposition and growth potential. Well, let me clarify at this point itself, some of you or some of us, actually, I should use the word, it's a new evolving concept. I'm not saying this is going to be implemented in its present avatar the way I'm going to present it. This is just opening the thought process, and it is for all of us professionals to actually sit down together, discuss, work out a workable model of how enterprise valuation concept, working the corporate data, arriving at the value of corporate data as a whole entity can actually be implemented. And therefore, we got to check out how each one of these elements can be actually dealt with. IBBI, in one of its order of disciplinary committee, also observed the element of synergy, interlinkage among the different units of the CD and the value derived from that synergy has not been considered. Fortunately, there was no adverse comments or order passed on the RV in this particular case, but this was mentioned by way of side notes or something of that sort. This I picked up from one of the DC orders of IBBI. what's happening in US bankruptcy law? You have Chapter 7 and then you have Chapter 11. Chapter 11 deals with reorganization, restructuring of an entity in distress. And they are wanting to calculate and find out an estimate of the value of the restructured firm. And they introduced the concept of reorganization value. Reorganization value is more or less the same as enterprise value in financial management parlance. They check out the value of the company as a going concern after it comes out of bankruptcy situation and then try to work out what is the value offered by this particular company after it comes out of insolvency by going through the rigors of Chapter 11 process. How much value can this company offer to the new takers or the new management of the company going forward? Enterprise valuation as a concept is the same as reorganization value practiced under Chapter 11 of US bankruptcy law, and it takes into account the value of a corporate debtor or a company in distress as a single unit as a going concern by using discounted cash flow technique, which they say is the main technique or main tool used in reorganization of the companies. But then I'll, I'll, I'll tell you a little while, maybe a few slides down the line, you can also use the market approach. You can also use the cost approach, as we normally do in the case of merger acquisition valuation. But yes, primarily enterprise valuation is based on ability of the valuer to be able to forecast future free cash flows and then discount them at an appropriate discount rate with a view to actually working out backward the present value of the future free cash flows of the company. And then whatever assets that the company has, whatever advantages that the company enjoys, they all in one way or the other get captured in the forecasted future free cash flow. If there is some asset which is not captured in that sense, then probably it becomes necessary to carry out the valuation of that particular asset separately and add to the valuation done on the basis of DCF. IBBI also floated a discussion paper in May 2024. All of us provided our views and comments on this discussion paper. However, nothing has yet come out of this paper. We haven't heard as to what is the final proposal or recommendations of IBBI with regard to this proposal, but we all would have seen this discussion paper floated by IBBI in May 2024. And they are talking about the last line. It is proposed that CIRP regulations may be amended to specify that the RP shall assign for carrying out the valuation of the CD as a whole to the RB instead of going in for asset-wise valuation, asset-wise appointment of valuers. We are looking at proposing and recommending RP to assign the valuation to one single RB for carrying out valuation of the company as a whole unit as one single unit. But yes, of course, there is proposed to be given flexibility to the registered valuer in case he feels that there is need for taking inputs from the valuers of other asset classes, or not only inputs, but actually get the valuations done on an asset class-wise basis also from another registered valuer. That is possibly going to be permitted by keeping that kind of a flexibility in the new amendment or regulation or guidelines as and when they will emerge from the IBBI. So how do you factor various elements and considerations that we discussed in the previous slide while calculating the enterprise value for corporate data? Operational synergies built over time will get reflected in the operational cash flows. So income approach will definitely capture them. Market approach would also capture them, because in market approach, you are checking out and comparing comparable transactions. You are looking at precedent transactions, you're looking at multiples comparison, either EBITDA multiples or sales multiples, or otherwise you try to put the two companies on the same platform and then work out how do they compare with one another. I have a base number for my company, but as compared to the other company also operating in the same market space, what is the premium factor which possibly will go to increase the value, and what are the discounting factor which will pull down the value of this particular company that I'm valuing. Intangibles, most of them get captured when you apply the income approach and also possibly market approach. If there are some intangibles which are very, very specific, domain specific, not getting captured in the income approach or the market approach, then possibly they may have to be valued separately, and value of that particular asset, intangible asset, will then be added to the value arrived at on the basis of income or market approach to determine the whole value of a corporate debtor. Long-term contracts, employee suppliers, huge advantage for any business. They need to be captured. Licensing and usage rights, software proprietary technology, organizational knowledge, distribution network, strategic partnerships, customer data. That's the crux. Well, in India, as of now, we have over 115 unicorns. A unicorn is a company with valuation exceeding 1 billion US dollars. So any company with startup company with a valuation exceeding roughly about 8,500 crores is a unicorn. And we have more than 115 already, and the number is growing week after week, month after month. But the interesting data and the interesting point to note is, out of top 10 unicorns of India, only 3 are making profit. Out of top 10 unicorns of India, only 3 are making profit. When you talk to them, when you talk to the promoters of these other unicorns, there are lots of interviews appearing on TV, digital media, print media, whatever, they tend to tell you that we are trying to build, we are trying to build customer base. We are trying to build customer traction. Over a period of time, when that becomes very, very big, the company will ultimately get into profitable space. Customer data, strong customer network, strong customer relationship are a very, very key strategic tool in the businesses in 21st century. Possible tax advantage, distribution network, barriers to entry, synergies, market position, strategic advantage that the company enjoys, and unique selling proposition. Every company has a unique selling proposition. The company may be in trouble, may be in distress as of now. The company may be a failing company as of now. But a company can be a failing company, but still may be a viable company. And that's where we are trying to revive that company, rescue the company, and try to restructure the company by going through the rigors of CIR. But if we find that there is a company which is a failing company, but is also becoming unviable, possibly there's no other way out but to push the company into liquidation. But if a company which is a failing company, but still a viable company, again, there can be 2 ways in which the company will get sorted out in CIRP. One, the company may be passed on to the new takers as a going concern, or the company may be passed on to the new takers as a going concern, yes, but maybe as non-operating. Going concern, operational entity, going concern, non-operational entity. These could possibly be 2 distinct options or possibilities in the case of CIRP as well. So the 1,200 cases which have gone through the CIRP process successfully, each one of these companies have been going concerns. Either they would have been transferred to the new takers as operating units or non-operating units, that we need to check the data and look at each case on a case-to-case basis. But nonetheless, each one of these companies possibly were a potential candidate for the application of enterprise valuation concept under IBC. That's what I wanted to make clear to you. So enterprise valuation, of course, this is right now at very, very evolutionary stage. As I said, all of us need to sit down together, discuss, finance professionals, IPs, RVs, other consultants, work out the ways and means by which the whole process and concept of enterprise valuation is proposed to be implemented in the case of IBC. If you look at textbooks say enterprise valuation is the market value of the shares of the company plus debt minus cash flows or minus cash. I mean, this is not the model that we can possibly apply in the case of arriving at enterprise value for corporate data. We need to work out it from the other way around by looking at what are the potential cash flows of the company to be generated in future. What is the value that the company generate and provide to the new takers by way of optimum utilization of different assets interlinked together. So we need to have a different approach altogether rather than only looking at academic and theoretical approach, the normal approach that we follow in the textbook. We got to invent and we have to look at alternate way of arriving at enterprise valuation for the company as a whole. where CD has some surplus or non-operational assets, and therefore their value or their ability to generate value will not get captured when you apply DCF approach. In that case, you may have to use separate valuation for those surplus or non-operational assets and then add up to the value that you would have arrived at by using either a DCF or a market value or some other basis that you may have adopted. The valuation of intangible assets, some people may say very, very subjective, yes, but all of us do understand there are models available which provide you a fairly decent estimate of the advantage that the company enjoys by way of the operationalization of those intangible assets within the company. It's not something which is insurmountable. You can definitely check out and look out for the determination of value of intangible assets also. For determination of liquidation value, as per the present regulations, each RV is required to provide an estimate of fair value and also the liquidation value. For arriving at the liquidation value, and also in the context of, and for the reason that there are security interests attached with valuation, attached with various asset classes, we may still have to persist with separate asset class valuation for the company. We may still have to persist with that. So there, possibly going forward, there would still be asset class valuation. In addition to that, there's also going to be an enterprise valuation. The actual fine tuning of the whole model that is proposed to be adopted under IBC is still required to be fine tuned, but possibly there's going to be continuation of asset-wise valuation. In addition, there's going to be mandated enterprise valuation to be taken up by the registered valuers. So there is a case for enterprise value considerations under IBC. Enterprise valuation is a form of business valuation or a way to determine how much the company is worth. That would possibly require some amendment to guidelines, regulations, rules also possibly. If we want to switch over to the enterprise valuation concept in ICD, where we are going to look at the corporate data as a going concern with either in an operating status or in a non-operating status, and then try to work out the value of the company as a whole, which hopefully and possibly is likely to provide better estimate of the value of corporate data so as to enable the committee of creditors to be able to take better decisions. Better evaluation can happen of different resolution plans, and that's possibly going to be a win-win situation, and also something which will go for achieving the basic objective of the code for that matter. IBBI, as I said, organized a workshop on enterprise valuation of 24th of July, where I was a speaker. IBBI is likely to come out with their discussion paper, which they normally do. Whenever they want to amend any kind of guidelines, regulations, they always come out with their discussion paper beforehand. And then based on the feedback, based on the comments, views given by general public, they finally take a call and then release the final regulation or the guidelines. Asset-wise valuation is likely to continue, as I mentioned, because of security interests being associated with various asset classes. Enterprise valuation will be over and above the existing valuation architecture. And yes, the critical aspect and the critical question, who will do enterprise valuation? RVs of which particular asset class would be assigned the task of carrying out enterprise valuation? What we believe and understand as of now, nothing final, but what we believe and we have heard is that some form of bridge course is likely to be introduced by IBC for the registered valuers of all the three asset classes. Once they clear out, pass, qualify that particular bridge course, thus their capacity will be to be able to carry out enterprise valuation for the corporate SR without any restriction as to which particular asset class you belong to. Once you clear this particular bridge course, which is likely to be introduced by IBBI, then possibly we'll have a new cadre of professionals in a marketplace also be able to do, who will also be able to do enterprise valuation for the corporate data as a whole. So this is just an idea as of now. As I said, this is my first public lecture to professional group of people which I'm addressing as of now. I did do a presentation, slightly a different presentation in the workshop of IBBI, where only selected RVs were invited. About 70 of them were there. We held here in Delhi. But going forward, I'm sure IBBA is going to organize this kind of program for different stakeholders, not only IPs, but also resolution professionals, resolution applicants, whole lot of other people in the ecosystem with a view to getting their views before they finally roll out, if at all, this particular concept of enterprise valuation under IPC. Thank you so much. That's where I close my formal presentation, but I'll be pleased to have the views of the participants. I won't say you should be asking me questions because I may also not be clear. I'm not clear about many of the nuances and the final points of this particular new concept, which is yet to be finalized. And I look forward to association from all the different stakeholders to be putting our heads together with a view to working out some kind of a mechanics. How do we actually work out enterprise valuation for the companies under IPC? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. S.K. Gupta, for your views on emerging topic, which is a new thought process which the IBWay is contemplating to put on. Before I request Namrata, may I request any participant who have any views or any questions on this, which we can just scratch? Yeah, Dr. Kishore, please.
May I, sir,
Yes, sir.
may I just point out, sir, under liquidation process regulation, regulation 32, so they have described 6 different scenario or situation under
Right.
which valuation is
Right.
needed. So that can be actually, as per my view, implemented, or that can be brought under CIRP regulation also, so
Absolutely.
that actually RP and RV will get full liberty to decide what is the correct valuation as per the
You have
situation.
rightly pointed out, sir. That is the pain point as of now, and IBBI is fully seized about that. IBBI has constituted an expert committee to look at the various dimensions of rules, regulation, guidelines on valuation. I am also part of that committee. When yesterday we had a meeting, and there is discussion going on in that particular direction. Hopefully, you will see something on this very, very soon. IBBI is also proposing to formalize a structured template, a structured format for the valuation reports with minimum information which is required to be captured. It's already there in regulation in IBS, it's mentioned. But the way IBBI is now looking at, very soon you will see the draft discussion paper out in the public. It is a very, very comprehensive, detailed, structured format and template that we are trying to develop for valuation report under each of the 3 asset classes. We are already working on that, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Dr.
Thank you.
Kishore, Dr. Kishore, you please, please.
Yes, sir.
Gupta sir, thank you very much for your excellent presentation. And I should take liberty to tell you,
Sure.
content slightly innovative, but the style of presentation, the command and authority what you have made everyone to immerse in the whole discussion. Thank you, sir, and proud of you being leader, professional leader for us. And Sumit sir and Namrata ma'am, thank you for your excellent moderation.
Yeah,
Sir,
yeah.
now the coming to the point, what I would like to submit. In the present insolvency process, the challenges include the exact valuation of asset. Sir, while you have explained very clearly, myself now participating in a couple of insolvency process as an applicant, as a resolution applicant, prospect resolution applicant, and a couple of them as resolution applicant. What we find is, it is not easy for us to quantify the costs and the risks when there are operations going on. So in a going concern, the risks and the challenges are more than in a corporate debtor which has no operations going on and has purely some assets which are available for liquidation. The reason is, sir, the customers, the project authorities, the parties are not clear about the whole transaction. They don't dig deeper until the beginning, and then they don't share all the data, nor can they afford to give all the data also. And promoters of corporate debtor, as we can imagine, will not cooperate with the RP, will hardly give any data. And a company which has come to that stage would remain shattered, will have fewer documents, team is absent, most of the data is in mind, and therefore it will be impossible, or it will be very difficult for a resolution applicant to understand what could be the value that can be assigned for ongoing projects. That is the major challenge for all of us, sir.
I
As
understand, sir.
assets are identified, sir, there could be land, building, plant and machinery, or let's say one of the immobile, intangible asset, as you mentioned, those are relatively easier to be valued by a professional valuer like our members, Sivaprasad sir and others who are there. And they would give a right valuation, and we can discount slightly because we expect 6 months, 9 months time to come. A balance of to what extent can it appreciate and how much should we discount towards our cost of capital. With a judgment on these two, we will be able to bid. But the challenge is only as far as the operations which are ongoing, contracts which are ongoing, contracts with customers which are ongoing, in which case the valuation has become a bigger challenge. So the applicants are basically speculating to an extent on that. And all said and done, the process would elongate from 6 months to 2 years by the time many dynamics change. And in most of the cases, while it appears, there are two categories. Category number one, genuine applicants who take the project and then they are suffering, most of them. Category number two, ARCs are, I'm not blaming them, the system is like that. Those who are
Dr.
able
Kishore,
to...
can we just concentrate on the topic today because these issues will remain?
Yeah, sir. So how do we, yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
No,
So how
fine.
do we come to
All the points
valuation?
are very, very valid from practical perspective. That's what I said. The idea of this brief session today was just to introduce the concept and to inform all the participants here that me being part of the ICMAI RBO, also being part of the expert committee of IPBI, I am in the know of certain things which are not yet known fully in the marketplace or amongst the professionals. Just wanted to share the thought process of IBBI. But as I said, even we don't have the answers to all the questions as of now. We all got to sit together, put our heads together, put our knowledge together, and then try and work out something which is workable. The whole idea of enterprise valuation is how do we value the corporate debtor as a whole rather than doing a sum of the parts approach. Forget about what textbooks say about enterprise valuation definition and all. There's a very different definition. I've gone through the entire textbook, but here we are not trying to apply enterprise valuation. There is a question in the chat box. Should enterprise valuation be also termed as business valuation? Actually, we are toying with that idea. In the committee, we are actually toying with that idea. It is just the same as business valuation. Let's not use the term enterprise valuation because people will get confused when they Google. Google will give them something else. So let's call it business valuation. That question or comment from one of the participants right on dot. We are actually toying with the idea. We're not sure what IBBI will finally use, which word they will use finally when they come out with these regulations. Even in DPUM, Department of Investment and Public Asset Management, they use the same concept of valuation as a whole. Even in mergers acquisition, we use the whole concept. I mean, no other law in India as of now, we never and don't use the asset-wise valuation and then do averaging and aggregation. Somehow it has creeped into IBC, but the time has come for all of us to have a relook at that. If we can bring more value on table for the stakeholders and for the creditors, then why not? At least we should move in that particular direction. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Adding to sir, what you said, I remember Mr. Sahu's statement in one of the seminars that COC expects the valuer to do a haircut in the valuations or assets valuation, we understand. But then they don't do a haircut, they go for head cut. They say till head cut, then Mr. Sahu said till head cut I am fine. But the trend we see was body cut. Because of doing valuation asset by asset, it is giving a lower value. And as you rightly all have pointed out that if you do enterprise value, the COC may get a better value for the lenders and all.
I know.
So with this,
one
I think
of the cases, just one small remark before you close out. In one of the cases, the book value of the assets of the company, the fair value, the book value was about 1,000 crores. The fair value was about 1.75 crores. Finally, the company was taken over by RA at 1.35 crores. So I won't name the particular case, but 1,000 crores to 1.75 was fair value, but it finally got sold off for 1.35 crores. So, I don't know.
It is not even coming in rounding of decimals also, it's gone out the value. Fair enough. So I think, Merrick, thank you all for your active participation. May I request Namrata ji, please to share a...
So we would like to present a memento for you for being present today and sharing your views, and request you to please stay to the end. And request Udaraj Patwadan sir to please present the memento, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta ji. It was very nice to have an interaction on a very new topic. And you certainly have brainstormed all of us to look into this idea. With guidance from doyens like you, we are sure that we will be able to make inroads into this new concept and thereby having better realizations in IBC. So
Sure,
with
sir.
deep appreciation, Dr. S.K. Gupta, in recognition of your valuable contribution to the insolvency profession and your leadership in shaping the regulatory frameworks that guide us today, with gratitude and respect on behalf of Dr. Ashish Makhija, President of IPNet, we are respectfully handing over this memento to you. Kindly accept, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sure, sir.
Physical
I
memento
humbly
will be
accept this
delivered to
memento.
your office, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Now,
Thank you.
thank you all. Now may I request Gauri Deshpande to kindly introduce next speaker, Sir Raman Bhaviji.
Thank you, sir. It is my privilege today to introduce Ram Mohan Bhave, sir. He is a chartered accountant. He is a cost and management accountant. He is company secretary also, and and he has also qualified LLP. He has also qualified as ACCA London. He is known for his vast industry experience, which includes working as CFO in various industries and spread over more than 7 countries. He has very much experience in different industries also. His industry experience also includes working as independent director on the board of LIC Mutual Fund Trustee Company Limited. And then comes his experience as a faculty or his passion for the teaching. And it is reflected in so much things here that his passion of teaching is also getting reflected in featuring in the Limca Book of Records. He is engaged in teaching across different educational and government institutes, which includes Reserve Bank of India, IBBI, IIM Mumbai, Reserve Bank of India, and various public sector banks, including State Bank of India. He is also a corporate trainer and has trained more than 100 plus corporates. His experience in teaching is so much that he has trained top 10 Indian companies in India. He is also known for his vast experience in IFRS and is counted as one of the top 10 consultants in the country for IFRS. So it is my honor to introduce Bhave sir, and I welcome you, Bhave sir. Bhave
Thank you,
sir?
Gauriji. Thank you.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, and I welcome you to the IPNet, and I also extend my thanks for coming to the session. Thank you.
Yeah, it's my honor to be here. And
Yes.
one big advantage I have now that out of my 50 slides, I have deleted 43 slides after hearing Dr. S.K. Gupta. So he has left me very little work now. So I am planning to directly getting into brainstorming and sharing few slides. And as I am known a very blunt and straightforward person, everything may not be very goody-goody. Okay. So, for example, how many cases insolvency board has resolved? Like sir said, around 1,200. And how many cases are unresolved? 12,000. Okay, so that's a success rate similar to a CA exam or okay. So even the insolvency process itself is a tough process as you see. So of course the success cannot be weighed by a percentage of cases resolved, but at the same time it should be considered by way of when nothing was happening, now something is happening. The other part is that you know the point which Gupta sir has made already. He's a very reputed authority on that. That IBBI is considering all this kind of thing. I mean, one always wonders. With a very great fanfare, we heard that Values Bill 2020 will be converted soon into the Valuation Act, and 5 years have passed. So there is nothing so far we have heard about it. So currently, whatever has been decided about that very soon some new rules will come. I only hope that that happens. Okay. Because the challenge is one challenge which is overcome, planned to be overcome is the enterprise valuation. So when the papers were invited by IBBI, we had also submitted a paper on behalf of one body called Association of Valuation Professional, where I'm the president and Dr. Kishore is here, he's the vice president, and Nirmala ji is here, she is honorary secretary. We had submitted the paper saying that you should first classify, and for that I will use my window journal rather. One minute. So we had submitted that, first classify the company into two types of valuations. One is business turnaround possible. I am expressing the views which we have submitted to IBBI. Yes or no? And if it is a yes, then you get the business valuation done, same as what they are calling as enterprise valuation. No, then the individual asset valuation done. And we had recommended that please get both the types of valuations done. All right. Now, having said that, if this valuation comes out to be higher, then obviously the individual valuation can be challenged in the sense that there may be some surplus assets, some hidden assets, some unknown assets, and like some intangible assets which we have perhaps are getting missed out. Taking a clue from there, I wanted to ask you people, you are all expert in this. Are you aware that there are a lot of intangible assets? Yes, certainly. Are you aware that how many intangible assets are there? Anybody can tell me? According to, let's give me a feedback that how many types of intangible assets are there? Anybody? Not the Kishore servant. He knows everything. Anybody else? How many types of intangible assets are there? Or how many intangible assets are there? 6. Oh, that you are talking types. But I'm talking about the individually, if you count how many intangible assets are there. Must be in 2 digits. Okay, all right. So I will request you to refer my article, which has been published in a magazine called Valuers Professional Insights. Valuers Professional Insights. I hope you are able to see my notepad. Insights. Volume 1, where I have published, this is in ICAI's website. Volume 1, it talks about 94 types of intangible assets. Okay, 94 types of intangible assets. And since this topic was discussed quite a lot by sir, I was personally lucky to have, at least valued 55 out of them. So I will just share those slides with you. Intangible assets are huge, and frankly, we are not utilizing them, and therefore the intangible asset valuation really gets out of our hand by saying that. So let me open my slides here. Have a look here. Are you able to see my slides now?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So here are the 94 types of intangible assets, but out of that I have recorded here only 55, the one which I have done or some of my friends have done. So you can see the Kingfisher versus Air Deccan valuation, or landing rights valuation, flying rights valuation, spectrum valuation. Today you ask a registered valuer, they will find the telecom balance sheets of Reliance, you will find Spectrum or Airtel. Then there is a floor space index, which is a very famous valuation. So we are using all this. I'm just showing you a few of them. And many of them have scams, frankly. Okay, many were government owned and many of them are scams. So R&D vehicles, fairing rights, windmill energy towers, LMDS, brand, toll collection rights, solar energy equipment, logos, banking licenses, websites, carbon credits. Let's talk about the case of Air India. Okay. Now, this is a classic case where one can think of that how Tata's, when the whole airline sector is in losses, how Tata's could take it over for a reasonable valuation. Now, this was a very big discussion point, and I would like to do something which will help you to perhaps use it as a model. Okay. for enterprise valuation. So this was the model which we have submitted to IBBI also. Let's put it this way. I'm using Excel now, so that this material could be of use to you later on. Yeah. So Air India valuation. A very important facts there are. Practically all airlines are in losses. Then how Tata's could afford to buy that too at a reasonable price? Now, of course, majority people give the explanation that it is because they had emotions. At one time, Air India itself was Tata's. But the facts which we are missing perhaps, and which was very nicely highlighted, I had an informal discussion with the concerned valuers. One interesting point was that the intangible assets which were not in the books, okay, they were sold separately. They were sold separately. And Tata's did not need them because they already had those intangible assets of flying rights and landing rights because they had Vistara. So any valuation we do from the enterprise valuation, one must find out which are surplus or non-operational asset, or for that matter, not required assets by a particular buyer. If a particular buyer finds a higher value in certain assets and does not want certain assets, then the valuation can certainly be enhanced. But currently, the way the things are going on, as Gupta ji, a very respected personality and I mean, a big name in valuation. He has written thousands of articles. He has mentioned that sum of the part method cannot work. So what one should do is do a business valuation. And then from that find out surplus or non-operational assets and non-operational assets as additional valuation, because they will be separately sold. And this is what was precisely done. Okay. And apart from that, actually, there is something called as synergy benefits. Okay. I will share with you a case of a company which, when I was working for Reliance, we had acquired. There is a company, now of course, it is a well-known company, had a negative net worth of 4 crores. Now I'm talking about a very small figure, negative net worth of 4 crores. And we acquired this for, I think, 11 crores. Okay. The negative, this was negative. Okay. And we acquired this for 11 crores. What was the issue? The answer was simple. They had 250 customers, including Bajaj Group, one of the big names. And then very next day, the marketing managers of Reliance, it was under Mukesh Ambani, of course, went to these 250 customers in the next 1 month and grabbed all the orders of mobile phones. Otherwise, getting an appointment of purchase manager of Bajaj was itself difficult. But this 4 crore company was supplying a very small item called LMDS technology. And I was working as the acting CEO of that company for a short time. And within 6 months' time, we had total amount recovered, payback. Okay. So a company which would have otherwise been closed for one single intangible asset or customer relationship, we could achieve something great. All right. Now, having said all this, the similar cases, we were lucky to do the valuation of Ola Cabs. Ola Cabs acquired Taxi for Sure. And we are doing their Ind-AS conversion. That time the issue came. Now that we are doing the acquisition and Taxi for Sure otherwise will be closed perhaps. What is the biggest value? We had customer market share, customer relationship, supplier relationship. These three things can make a difference. There is another case study which I will discuss with you here. There is a company called, okay, let me not share the name, company in the cable sector. Okay. In the cable sector, this company would have been one of the, at one time, I mean, when I passed my CA in 1980, it was a blue chip company, listed company. And as the luck may have it, 45 or 40 years later, I got the assignment of doing their valuation. It was delisted by now and had hardly any good business. They were at 2000 crore at one time, and as of 2020-21, they are at 100 crore turnover. So we did the valuation in order to be able to sell it. The asset valuation was 119 crores. Okay. The asset-based valuation was 119 crores. Asset model. Then the income model was 130 crores. And market model, however, showed 272 crores. Okay. Are you, I hope you're getting the figures. It created a doubt in our mind as to why the valuation of asset model and income model can be so close. Because my personal belief is, if the asset model and income model are very close, then it is a case of insolvency. Okay. Then I sat with those entrepreneurs. I said that, look, we are interested in looking for you as a good turnaround case. So what you are saying is that this valuation is very low. How will it happen? So I went to the cable factory along with them. And then we find out there was a lot of, what you call, balancing equipments required of around 10-20 crores. And that would have tripled the capacity. And then when we said that, presume that we get 20 crores, how much will be the valuation? The income valuation came to 330 crores, believe me, by investment of 330 crores. So today we need the valuers who come out with innovative ideas and protect the wealth of our country by way of some kind of a business valuation, which does not become a farce exercise of, sorry to say, but farce exercise of many times siphoning of funds. Okay. And in fact, you all know that in some of the cases, the entrepreneur themselves offered from backdoor the purchase of that company. So the idea of insolvency, a very great motive which we started with and which has been quite fairly achieved, is that meeting the timelines, doing it in a fast way. Unlike the other judiciary where you hear that after 17 years, Malegaon Bambla's people were acquitted, at least here we are closing the companies pretty fast. Having said that, the intangible valuation, intangible assets valuation plays a very, very important role. And unless we bring them into the picture, either as an individual asset or as an asset to complete the, give the completeness to the business valuation, it will be very difficult to actually cover that. The time has come that we have a complete, now they're coming up with the report format, but even standardization will have to be done. You all have seen the International Valuation Standard 2025 edition. Is there any standard which says about valuation under insolvency? It doesn't. Now, it is a very big shock actually, because if there is no valuation standard which has been prescribed, then every valuer is bound to work in his different fashion. There are situation specific valuation in our exam of registered valuer. In that case, why are we not able to make one situation specific standard also for each of the cases? Otherwise, these things will go unheard. I'll give you one funny thing also. A company under resolution had M.F. Hussain paintings. Okay. Now, M.F. Hussain paintings were valued by the valuer at a cardboard value. Okay. Because they said it is not under land and building, it is not under plant and machinery, it is not under securities and financial asset. So they said that I cannot consider them at all. And the paintings were about to be, you know, sort of either hijacked by somebody or scrapped. So we can give a pretty funny situation and lead to a very funny situation if we don't count intangible assets. Intangible assets, synergy benefits, and therefore we always say that since the accounting standards have come in, that is international financial reporting standards, we all know that the goodwill has been now separated. What is the way goodwill has been separated? I will show you that formula. And that formula, if we use, then I think there will be some kind of a sense. Okay. So here I'm writing the old definition, old way of calculating goodwill, old way, and the current IFRS or Ind AS way. And that kind of a pattern, if we use, it will make sense. Investment. So here we take that figure. I'm avoiding the minority interest. And then less book value of assets and liability. And here it says fair value of assets and liability. All right. Now, in the case of Ola Cabs acquiring Taxi for Sure, the consideration was 1100 crores. And you can see both the accounts are available on the portal. Okay. And the accounts were prepared in both the ways. And the valuation of Taxi for Sure, fair value of the, rather book value was this much, and therefore goodwill arrived at was 1146 crores. On the other hand, the fair valuation came to almost 850 crores, and we ended up in having a goodwill of 250 crores. What does this show? It shows that there were intangible assets of the value of as high as 896 crores. And the more and more unicorns, more and more startups we are going to value, we are going to find that. Because as we said that 70, 80, 90% of the startups, or sir said 3 out of 10 unicorns are in losses. All said and done, tomorrow or day after tomorrow, half of them will come to insolvency. Unless they are acquired by somebody else in the similar sector. That time, what are you going to do? Today, at least we are seeing manufacturing companies where there are some landed buildings. Right? Now, another worrying part, which according to me, the IPNet like organization should take up is that what are the ill effects and how they can be cured? Because we are all ethical people. One is the siphoning, the doubts of siphoning. And in the doubts of siphoning, Sumit, my friend, used the word that haircut and body cut. But if not haircut, at least bald head is certainly happening with 96% of the write-offs taken by the bankers. Okay, but haircut and body cut is also happening, no doubt. So how do we address those issues? They have to be completely dealt by some of the strong organizations, like I'm sure Dr. Gupta is already doing that, and IPNist also doing that. But our job should be to stop such kind of siphoning arising out of this. The second aspect which comes in terms of the enterprise valuations, when we say that we will have some kind of a control over in some cases, I have heard insolvency professionals, they acted like CEO and they did wonders in achieving great results and having a good amount of this. In some kind of cases, so the diseases which have been created, which need to be cured, whereas what is happening is very good, no doubt about it. But here I would avoid the presentation, but say siphoning, how do we avoid? And I don't think there is any worry for me to openly say it because we hear it everywhere. Second, how do we take synergy benefits? Will enterprise valuation give it? How to create a standard itself for insolvent companies valuation. Now, international valuation standard body, we are also in constant touch, and I have been ensuring that I write to them that they should, create a standard or consider the standard to be considered for this. Okay. Now, What am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say here is that if the insolvent companies have become the name of the day, the business models do fail, even if we keep aside the concept called, sort of siphoning and all, the business models do fail. Now, when the business models fail, if there are eager competitors to take it over, the enterprise valuation will make a sense. But if the time is lost, then the business turnaround valuation will go to dogs. Another area I'll tell you where one of the IP cases, insolvency cases we faced was the company had an excellent business model. I'm taking all the practical case studies out of my experience. They had an excellent business model. But the problem was all their customers were government customers. And as you know, the government projects they were implementing. The challenge was that anytime you want to quote for a government project, at the tender quotation level itself, you have to give 10% value of deposits or bank guarantees. Then again, the tenders of government will go on for years and years. Okay. So those bank guarantees are locked in for years and years. Over a period of time, the cumulative bank guarantees gathered will be of 60% of the overall values. Plus, what used to happen was, now the hit rate due to the competition used to be 20% or 30%. So whatever tenders quoted, only 20%, 30% will be coming in. The question came up that if you have to have the 600% therefore of the amount to be locked up in the bank guarantees, where is the margin money for such companies? And we took that case up to the bankers itself. I said that this company is excellent, well workable, but are we going to have some kind of... So my submission would have been that can the restructuring be done on the non-funded items at least? Or can there be some kind of a mechanism created where at least the non-funded, that too the government to be given the guarantees can be done, some solution? These are the items one should take it up. The other part remains is that finding the companies which can help to turn around. If that is also added into the scope of the insolvency professional, the insolvency professionals will make wonders. Today, what is happening? Independent consultants like me, we find out somebody who will be a willing buyer for them with a positive case well before they go to insolvency. But after going to insolvency, sometimes this is still possible. So therefore, that is where we have to create a cadre, and the IPNet can play a very good role of ensuring that such a cadre will help for business turnaround, and they will be playing the great value for the country which we have, a great prospects which we have. Coming back, some of the cases where I have seen personally, and it can be of a challenge, is that the challenge of shell companies. Okay, you will be surprised to note that last year few years back, there were 13 lakh companies. And today, if you Google, there are 23 lakh companies. Now, the companies having only a table existence, frankly, they should be stopped. Okay. How can there be a company just existing on one table? We know in Mumbai itself, I am from Mumbai, there are some buildings in which the whole floor is having 400 companies. And other than that registered office, there is nothing there. And these are becoming the primary causes of having the insolvency, because banks are there for looting, like that kind of thing. And we hear every day some kind of frauds. Okay. Today, Yes Bank, tomorrow, UCO Bank, and XYZ. Anyway, names are already in the paper, so there's no question of hiding them. The question is that how do we address related party transaction and shell companies, which are one of the root causes of insolvency cases being produced? So I am sure the IBBI in the next version will certainly call out that whichever are the so-called unrelated but actually related parties, they are also getting covered. And then the real insolvency companies, which can be, put into the proper turnaround mode, will make a sense. Because saying that, so many lakh crores were already written off over the period of time by the banks as NPA, and now they will actually formally, they bring them in the books. because they were avoiding to put it in. We also very well know that the Ind AS, which is supposed to be a transparent accounting standard, has been postponed for the implementation in banks year after year, year after year. In 2016, we adopted Ind AS for the manufacturing and service industry. But up to 2025, nothing has been done for Ind AS in banks. Why? We have a hanging sword of a big NPA. And therefore, the problem has to be sorted out at root cause. And I, first of all, want to give big congratulations to IPNet that they have opened up the whole topic with the title itself, Enterprise Valuation for IBC. And my very good claps for IPNet, for Uday and Sumit and other Ashish sir for bringing up this topic for discussion. Because unless we handle the root cause, I don't think we can solve the real problems. Because the IP job or RV job is not just to, give some kind of a valuation report and earn his bread and butter. No, that's not the idea. We are working for a country which is going to have and which is already having a great future. So how are we going to contribute to that is a very, very, a sincere desire all of us can work towards. Coming back to a few slides which I'm going to share with you, whether they are anyway duplicated because of the excellent lecture by our Dr. S.K. Gupta sir, because he is a guru of many, many thousands of people. And so this is my number if anybody wants. And I worked in industry for 30 years, so I have closed some companies also. And we have now started courses on artificial intelligence also. One course on AI for insolvency is coming up soon. Rest, I think already my friends have already introduced me, but I will go to the, how to find the process of determining economic value. That is called enterprise valuation. So whether we want to give a name business valuation or enterprise valuation is a minor issue. The issue is how do we make the business model workable? Okay. Then in the IBC process, how do we ensure that we balance the interest of the corporate debtors? So typically the one particular banker take away and takes the decision, that alone will not happen. As far as the valuation techniques are concerned, there are very good techniques like discounted cash flow, comparable and precedent transaction analysis. But for the insolvency process, if there are no quotations, where are you going to have? But this is the interesting part, that enterprise valuation cases resolved 1194 by IBC and cases pending 1259. And the cases resolved before admission, this gives us a good ray of hope, that is 30,300. So this is the latest statistics I have picked up. Are the valuation standard prescribed? No. Currently what we are saying, valuation rules say that we will prescribe them pending that use IVS or ICAVS. Now, if beginning itself we say there are two standards to use, and those standards don't give a standard for insolvency valuation, wonder where do we go? So has to be there. Whatever paper Gupta sir is expecting in October, November, I hope it comes. And if it doesn't come, IPNet like bodies will do a wonderful work. Now currently what it says, appoint two valuers. If they don't agree, appoint the third valuer. Now the question is, why two valuers should differ so much? And if the third valuer comes, if he takes one side, then you take an average of that. Oh, this is not arbitration, frankly. Standard today in the areas of internet and artificial intelligence, growth rates of the companies are available. Lot of Bloomberg data is available. Why should the valuation differ so much? Reason is, to some extent, lack of clarity in the valuation standard itself. And I would request all of you to tell me, even if the enterprise valuation comes today, you tell me if there are three approaches to valuation: income, market, cost. Should I use which valuation? Valuation standard currently don't say anything. They say depending on the purpose. Okay. Suppose we go on the purpose. There are three parts. Cost valuation, we will say if it is the write-off, insolvency. market model if you have a listed company or a close to listed company, and income model. Therefore, because out of 13 lakhs, only 7,000 are listed, and you can find out at the most 1 lakh comparable companies to them. So around 12 lakh companies, we are going to be unlisted where comparables not available. So we will go for income model. Now, when we go for income model, there is a need of standardization of a format, completely covering that. Otherwise, we are back to, finding out as to how do we elaborate the things, and the valuers, two valuers are bound to give the issue of due diligence also continues. I'll tell you a case of one of the startup which went into insolvency. And this was a case came to us. We refused to take it. Rather, they did not come back to us after I quoted very high fees. Now, the problem is in India, there are more than 1600 laws. Okay. And we say ignorance of law is not an excuse. How many of us know 1600 laws? Nobody. Now, this guy was an ex-Swiggy promoter. And this guy started a company which was supplying tiffins at home, from home to the employees, to the people who were customers. He collected excellent data of an aggregator model, the people working and wanting home tiffin and the housewives which are providing home tiffin. Both together, it worked a beautiful model. Now, one day, one guy had a food poisoning and he lodged a complaint. Next day, what happened? The food poisoning people raided the company and they said that, look, you are not taking care of the food safety law, FSSAI. Now the question comes, luckily we had not done the valuation. Housewives are unlikely to keep the FSSAI approvals. This fellow doesn't know, should the valuation while raising funds raise this issue or not? So the main issue, another one which comes, that is due diligence on various laws. Diligence on various laws, or call it a forensic or legal due diligence. Okay, legal due diligence is the valuer or IP supposed to be doing. Tomorrow we go to do the enterprise valuation, and one fact like FSSI approval goes away. Will the valuer give a disclaimer, or is he supposed to be, expert in all those areas? Question mark. So there is a need for a due diligence immediately done, parallelly done. So considering the fact that Gupta sir had already shared a lot more ideas and you have already asked him a lot of questions, I am seriously hoping that you have no questions for me, because I am not a very great expert in this area. Gupta sir, like when you call me with them, along with me, it is my big honor. We are going from haircut to bald head. Is the country's interest being served? That's the question. So with this, I leave it open for questions, but I think questions wise, Gupta sir will be the super expert on this. Okay, I am novice. Yes, over to you.
Anyone would like to put up a
Sir, firstly, thanks to Bhave sir. He is our guru. He created 30,000 CFOs in the country. All the members should know this. 30,000 CFOs. He is our guru, mentor. Now, summary of what Bhave sir told and Gupta sir told, that the issues which we don't need to repeat may kindly be championed by IPNet and other professionals, our leaders, Gupta sir, Bhave sir, and others, so that at least the valuation professionals will not be blamed for in the name of taking advantage, which is not actually the only case. That is the only submission. And of course, I didn't know that 95 intangible assets are there. Sir has listed them out. But by the way, in many of AVP sessions, Sir has intervened and covered valuation of many of the intangible assets. So, for example, Airloft in, let's say, Hong Kong, Kowloon City, Marine Road, a property which will not have any construction but has got a right to construct in the days to come, like FSI, was valued so high than the constructed portion. So we had the doubt why it could get valuation of higher than what is actually constructed. So then in the discussions, we were given the guidance that this has flexibility to have a modern construction than the one which already has a construction. And the rentals, what it could command will be much higher than the already constructed one. Therefore, this is valued at a higher price. So those kind of many learnings from the intangible assets valuations were gifts to us from these legendary speakers. Thanks to IPNet for bringing two legends and addresses. And my personal thanks to Bhave sir, my guru and our mentor. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, any other questions, please? To Gupta, sir.
Sir, I have something to say is while doing resolutions, I appreciate the efforts to improve the value of an enterprise by doing enterprise valuation. However, from resolution applicants' side, they always want to not recognize the brand, not recognize the value of the ecosystem created by a company. And they always want to downplay it and try to think about what is liquidation value. I will pay you more than liquidation value. So from the market side, I don't see much of a traction to the concept of enterprise value. So what is your take on that, sir?
I think that's where the COC has to play an important role. Once they have the numbers of asset-wise valuation being done, because I said that's possibly going to continue as it is being done as of now. In addition to that, possibly you want to have a number which is the overall value of the corporate debtor. So COC will be in a better position to evaluate the various resolution plans being submitted by the resolution applicants. I think we need to wait and watch how it fans out, but right now it is at the ideation stage only, nothing formalized. The structure, the mechanics, the architecture, nothing formalized, but it's just at the ideation stage as of now. Yeah.
My thought process, just a bit to add, is if Modi ji appeals to the top 10 entrepreneurs of the countries like Tatas and Birlas and Ambanis and Adanis and all, to form a sort of a group which will, because they have money to invest. So if they form the group who should review quickly whether those business models are can be turned around, then what will happen is the buyers will be available quickly. And some kind of a, person like Uday, who is very dynamic, can start one unicorn aggregator where the interest of the buyers and interest of the insolvent companies can be coordinated. I'm sure one
IBBI is already operationalizing CCRE, where that's a marketplace for buying and selling of distressed assets. So that's a way forward. I mean, they're already working in that space, but yeah.
How is their success rate?
I have no idea, sir. I need to check. Yeah.
Sir, CCRI, I have a very not so good experience.
Okay.
I will just share very, very openly that in CCRI, what is happening is the BICRI that they are doing. The bidder is supposed to bid for everything without contacting the resolution profession or the liquidator, because they want to keep that person away from the process so that people are completely working under secrecy. Simultaneously, they want the same liquidator resolution professional to arrange for site visits and all that, etc. Now, where is the secrecy left? Because you have an asset which is supposed to be completely secret, and you ask the liquidator to be contacted again for again doing the value, doing the recce of the asset. Then you want it to be coordinated with the prospective bidders, etc. So there are some fundamental flaws in the thought process there, which needs to be ironed out. Right now, it's like you get somebody's ready-made module for selling out in the market, that auction model is adopted and everything is resolved. That will not work. You will have to take participation from the market participants as to what are the issues being faced. Sure. Right now, if somebody wants information from me, I have to tell him that go register with eCRE or BCRE. You will get information there. That person says, no, sir, you share it with us. I said, no, I cannot share you with anything. I cannot share you memorandum. I cannot share you anything with you. The
Right.
law is something different, but the process is now you have to register there. I am not supposed to talk to you at this stage. Then one side we are talking about marketing, market penetration, special effort to be taken by the resolution professional liquidator, one side. One side you are saying you stay away from the process, we will maintain, do it secretively. So I don't think
Right.
those things are converging with each other.
Sure, sure.
That's where I'm saying top 10 industrialists, they have the muscle power and they have
Yeah.
many turnaround specialists also in their own divisions actually, who convert loss divisions into profit. So if they do review each of the, at least the cases above 50, 100 crores
Yeah.
or 1000 crores, then perhaps a way out can be thought. Because government
Absolutely.
doesn't have that machinery. I
That's a
had
great
discussed
idea.
this with C&AG also at the director level, but they find it that their execution power is very less.
Mm.
So I think the only way is privatize. I am a strong proponent of privatization. So the way is, because these are all ethical entrepreneurs when you say Tatas and Mahindras and like that. So we can bring them into the public fold. Perhaps they will be able to, at least the big amounts they will not allow to get lost.
Yeah.
Yes, anybody else?
So I had a small point which I was telling Sumit sir that the impacting case laws, we've discussed a few case laws, but if we can also have a discussion on a few impacting case laws that have been in this field, in this genre. So Sumit, can you please look into this?
Sure, sure. Yeah. So let me ask one question to all, probably which is not a good question to ask. I'm sure many of you, when you open IBBA website, used to first see IBBA take action against this IP, we should notice to this IP. That was the always in first pages. IBBA was not taking any action against valuers. So in one of the meetings, we asked IBBI that you are taking valuation actions against only on IPs.
Mm.
No action has been taken on valuers. So why are you so kind to us? And I'm really saying, and this was the word of that IBBA officer, Sumit, and it was into on the valuation day, when the valuation day is made on 18th October 2000 every year. He said, Sumit, we don't have the power to take that. And then I was surprised why they don't have the power. Then comes, I'll share your presentation. Then comes the amendment in section 247, which permitted them to take power. And what was the genesis of this? The issue was the IBBA, when they observed the two valuers, and which both the speakers have mentioned that why there should be so much difference when I'm appointing two valuers, it's not arbitration. So they observed that out of 15 cases which they take on IBC, 13 cases they have more than 100% variation between two valuers. So they say then it has become too absurd. After this, many changes happened. After this, IBBA get into the shoes and started regulating. Now, the first change happened, which was the concern of Bhave sir, that which approach to take. There are two values. I take income approach, you take market approach. Answer will be vary, and that there will be a significant difference. Now, this has been mostly settled. Now, a new rule came into valuations that now before the valuer starts a valuation, he need to have a meeting with COC and explain his approach. He need to tell what would be my approach of valuations so that IP and COC can analyze whether both the valuers are using same approaches, not fundamentally different approaches. So that was the starting point. And if you see the third last para here the IBBA says, presently the IBBA lacks power to regulate. So therefore and if they're empowered to do, they will allow development of valuations in this. So that's why this section got amended. Now, two case laws which becomes the talk of the town in IB cases. The first case was when two valuers valued intangibles. And we talked a lot about intangibles, that intangibles are not getting much value. So there was a pharma company, Unimark Remedies, where according to the bankers, according to the company, the patent, and in a pharma company, what is most important is a patent. The patent was valued according to the promoters and the bankers was 200 crore. This company went into CRP and both the valuers have given a nil value. Now, when the both values given nil value, the COC was not happy with the nil value. So COC requested IP, please appoint a third valuer. And IP said, I'm not allowed to appoint third valuer because regulation says I can only appoint a third valuer when there is a significant difference. And between 0 and 0, nil and nil, there is no significant difference. When there is no significant difference, I cannot go. So ICICI Bank went into NCLT, and in NCLT again, both the judges have a diverged view. The judicial member said we should not appoint a third valuer because there's no difference. And the accountant member said no, we should appoint a third valuer because COC has come to you and they see values down. So the NCLAT president had to intervene and he asked, okay, let us understand why there is a nil value. And when both the values were called, they just because of conservatism approach, they say companies into IBC. They got a notice from a US FDA department of irregularities in their plant. That's why we have given a nil value. But later on, when the NCLAT intervened and NCLT intervened, it was noted that values both have missed. So it does not mean when two values are appointed, both are giving nearby values or same values, they may be right. So here the values missed fair value intangible, and later on NCLT appointed a third valuer and got a high value of intangibles. Because in a pharma company, if you can't value intangibles, you'll not get anything. So this was one of the case which becomes a huge issue when there was a nil value. And in this case, why the IP was not willing to appoint a third valuer? Because previously in 2019, in one case law, IP appointed third valuer because COC was not happy with the valuations. IBBA penalized the IP, saying that you incurred extra cost because the law do not mention anywhere to point third valuer. So this becomes a huge issue. So this was one of the broad issues. The second issue was of Indian Bank versus Solidarity India Bank Limited. Again, this becomes a very funny case where both the valuers have given a fair value of a land as 31,000 rupees only. 31,000 was the value given by both the valuers. Whereas the Indian Bank, who was one of the lenders, Indian Bank said, according to me, it should not be less than 18 crore rupees. So this becomes a huge difference between what valuer has said, 31,000 rupees only INR, and the bankers, Indian bank values were saying 18 crores. Again, the IP was approached by the Indian bank to appoint a third valuer. And again, IP said, no, I will not appoint a third valuer because both values 31 is same. So no significant difference. But so they again went to NCLT, and then NCLT asked them, let us know what is the stark difference between what you are giving as a 31,000 rupees value, what Indian bank valuer, the land value which is on Indian bank panel, why he is giving 18 crores. What's the fundamental difference? And the funny part was the bank valuer considered assignment as ownership. In Tamil Nadu, so this is a case of Tamil Nadu, where the land was not assigned, was not transferred. The land was only assigned. So only the right to use was given as long as the company will work. But the company has no right to sell it. And when the company has no right to sell it, then there is no point on giving a fair value to that company, to that land, because that was not the asset. So this also became a huge issue, and in this, the value did the right job. So here NCLT again said that you should not just give any number which the COC is wanting. If you are okay, the value is fine, then they also went into this. It became a huge issue because the bank actually lost a lot of money because they don't have that collateral. The last case, which talks a lot on valuations, was a Appu Hotels versus which is a Royal Meridian Group in Chennai. Here, according to the promoters, the value of the land was 1,600 crore rupees, but the value is valued 423 crore rupees. The biggest issue which the promoters and the promoters put to the court was the values were not local valuers. So let's say if I am from Jaipur, I would have a better fair market knowledge of Jaipur area as compared to Chennai. So if you send somebody from outside city to that local area and he gives the assessment, he may not be actually correct. And that was one of the argument. And then the promoter said, if you think 423 crore is the value, let me give you 500 crore and let me buy this at 500 crore. Because according to the promoter, it is not less than 1600 crores. And then again, the NCLT rejected the proposal, they rejected the resolution plan, and they again asked this to value. So if you are, and here the NCLT raises a very important point. Just because I am a valuer, I am a SFA or land valuer or any PM valuer, and with due regards to the values, they say does not mean you have the capability to value. Let's say if I'm a land valuer and I'm only expert in valuing normal real estate buildings, I may not be able to value cement plant, or I may not be able to value cement factory, sugarcane factory, it is ICICI Bank, it is Indian Bank versus Solidar India Limited. So here the issue was, if you are a valuer, you need to have a subject knowledge, because like saying valuing a hotel industry is a different, because there is a structure is different. The land area is less. You leave a lot of open area space for roaming around and all in hotels, so that do not get that proper value. So the IP was questioned that when you are appointing valuers, you also need to see they have the capability to value that specific assets. Just because if I am asset value does not mean I can value all industry. So these are the few case laws which become a huge talk in the valuation fraternity. I will request both the speakers, if you can share any views on these cases or something which, based on your experiences, on any of the valuation issues you have observed in any of the discussions.
I think in few of the cases which have gone up to DC with regard to registered valuers, the observations have mainly focused on that possibly physical verification of the property hasn't been done. You haven't provided any kind of evidence, your photograph of having visited that particular site, whatever. And also there have been issues with regard to the ethical part of it in terms of code of conduct. So let's all remember, as partners and players in the IBC ecosystem, valuations are temporary, but values are forever. Even during the 18th July workshop that we had on enterprise valuation, the chairperson of IBBI focused on this particular aspect hell of a lot. He said IBC as a law is for the country. It is for the benefit of all the stakeholders. Please be very, very ethical while conducting the valuation under IBC, at least, he said. He went on to the extent of saying, at least for IBC, for God's sake, follow ethical code of conduct and follow ethical practices. Valuations are temporary, but values are forever. You must take due care of whatever had been assigned to you as an assignment or as a job. You must do that to the best of your ability, following the laid down code of conduct and the code of ethics.
I would like to add something. You know, the Union Bank case where was referred 1800 crore versus 31,000 rupees. Now, the right of ownership was not there. And if the Union Bank has done the valuation of 18 crores or something, the question comes up that there the valuer who did it for Union Bank obviously did not consider the fact like that it was only on rent. Similar problem had happened in Air India and Indian Airlines merger, which C&AG pointed out that the Nariman Point building, which was leased, was valued as rented. So the question is, therefore, one is that these were gross errors. These are not like judgmental errors or kind of errors. And that is why I am very strong proponent of giving them a format, and which I had propagated in many of my websites, many of my presentations I can send to anybody who wants. Any asset, particularly tangible or intangible, you have to have some kind of a checklist, I call it, rights and obligation. So if we are talking about right, what are the rights when you have some asset? Either you own it, own, control, right to sell, right to resell, right to gift, right to restrict the usage by others, right to scrap, right to lease. So these 10, 15 rights, one can follow the standard on Ind AS 115 talking about revenue recognition, which says how the control in the item gets transferred. And on the other hand, there is also obligations, like if there is an environmental obligation of legal obligation of anything to be clearing the ensuring social governance or environmental clearances. Once these factors are given the weightage in the valuation, they must be transparently stated in the valuation report. And the time has come, I think, as far as the bank loans are concerned, I believe that some banks do it only at the time of giving the loan, and some banks do it at the time of once in 3 years or like that. But the question comes, I'll do that, Krishna Mohan sir. The question comes that are the bankers appointing the valuers? Why those reports are just one pager? I have seen some of the reports of one pager and 15 pages disclaimers that we have valued it as per this. Are the valuation standards applicable to them or not? But bankers, valuers appointed, their valuation, in fact, according to me, I'm sorry to say, but particularly it is quite natural that land and building and plant and machinery valuers may not be as finance savvy. Quite acceptable. But the time has come that they have to appreciate the fact that now the registered valuer profession expect finally getting into the business valuation. So you can't be saying that I will be doing the valuation without seeing, one valuer goes to the inspection and says, okay, I've seen this building in this area, the land is at this rate, I value it at this rate. But have you seen the land documents, purchase documents? Are there any rights restricted? This is something for years together they are never thought of. I recently had a case where we were doing the joint valuation. I was doing SFA valuation, the other guy was doing machinery valuation, a very seasoned valuer, almost of my age. I'm 68. He went there, he did the valuation, he came back. This was a dispute case between two partners, not partners actually, shareholders, but they were as good as partners. Now, this fellow took the camera photographs, came back and gave the valuation. And both the people started fighting, saying some said that my personal assets were there, laptops, and they were also valued. I asked him a simple question. Did you compare it with fixed asset register? He said, no, I have never done this before. I said, why? He said, no, generally we do it for the bank funding. There is only one machinery. We go there, take photograph, give the valuation. So I said, now you have to change yourself. But he was shocked, like something has to be done. So these kind of accounting and finance approach, if it is given to particularly the tangible assets valuers, I'm sure financial asset valuer also need to learn a lot from the tangible asset values. But at the same time, these gross errors of 18 crore versus 31,000 rupees show a very sad picture of the gross errors. So very good cases stated, Sumit. I mean, good that it became an eye opener and sort of a good point of discussion. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for both the stalwarts of the industry to be with us today. And I would just request Udairaj Patwardhan sir to please present a memento to Ram Mohan Bhave sir.
Yeah, I was worried. Have you forgotten my moment?
That's not possible, sir.
Thank you, sir. With deep appreciation, sir, Mr. Ram Mohan Bhave, in recognition of your invaluable contribution to the insolvency professional and your leadership in shaping the regulatory frameworks that guide us today. With gratitude and respect on behalf of Ashish Makhija, President of IPNet, we are respectfully requesting you to accept this memento. The physical copy will be couriered to you, sir, and you will receive it in a week's time. Please, sir.
Thank you. I'm honored.
Thank you so much. And a very special memento to our moderator for the day today, Sumit. Udairaj sir, I request to please present the same. I'm just sharing.
Sumit ji, thank you very much for first is coordinating with the speakers. Because of you only we could get hold of Dr. Gupta. I know he's a very busy person. And Mr. Bhave also was very happy to be co-panelist with Dr. Gupta. So it was a very good panel because of you, Sumit ji. Thank you for moderating the session today.
on the webinar held today. You are one of our members, but it is very necessary that we appreciate your efforts, without which this program wouldn't have been a success. Thank you.
And for the next webinar coming in the next week, the things will be announced in due course and it will be circulated in our groups as we've always done. And now I would just request Gauri ma'am to please share the vote of thanks for today.
Thank you, Namrata ma'am. I am very delighted to thank all the dignitaries here, including the lead speaker S.K. Gupta sir and Bhave sir. Today's insights into the valuation are very new to me, and what I feel from both of the speeches given by them is that their passion or their integrity, their honesty towards the work drives them to find the new things, the new insights by which they can maximize the value of the assets and to give the best from our profession. And what I feel is that these things needs to be spread more than the regulations, more than the theory which we read in the books or in any material. So from today's session, what I learned from both of the speakers, Gupta sir and Bhave sir, is that what is the most important towards giving the best is to work honestly and with the integrity, with the spirit, what I can say, the best spirit for the work. And I really thank both of them to give such things and spread such things so that we can imbibe these values in our work, not only in the valuation or not only in the IBC, but in the all aspects of our work, to work with the best spirit of the work. And thank you to both the speakers. Thank you to Sumit Tadda sir for arranging such a nice speakers and to have such speakers on the panel of the IPNet. I also thank Namrata Randari ma'am for arranging such a session and for giving me the opportunity to be here and to be associated with the IPNet. I also thank all the participants who come here, join the discussion, give their views, ask the queries, and we can have a more fruitful discussion all in all. So I thanks each and everyone here. And I thanks for such a very wonderful discussion over here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We
I got
close the
one
session
small
now.
suggestion. I request say stalwarts like Mr. S.K. Gupta or Mr. Bhaveji and Ashishji or Uday, etc., to take up with IBBA to allow for third valuation in case the COC insists on it, they based on their genuine doubts.
That is already amended, sir. That regulation is already amended.
Oh, thank you for the update,
Yeah, that is
which
already
I'm not
amended.
aware. Because the issue should not be.
Even if there is not much difference, COC can ask for third valuation. That amendment has been done, sir.
Okay, thank you.